How you been, man?
All right, busy,
Keeping
but
keeping busy?
yeah, it's been a busy summer.
I bet.
We there. Let's close that door. We moved part. Well, I told you moved part of the business out of the house, so
Yeah.
it's a little bit more breathing room. But that was a big undertaking.
Yeah. Stuff just finds a way to absorb all space.
Oh, yeah. You Now when I think about when somebody mentions a move, I get an anxiety attack. I can't sleep at night.
Yeah, that's like someone saying I need to find something out of your garage. There's like it's impossible. Hey John, how are you, buddy?
Good, and you, Rick. How
Good,
are you,
man.
Asmir?
Hey, your audio's really low, John. Must be that interface.
Okay, is that better?
Say something again?
Can you hear me now?
No, it's the same.
What?
Maybe your audio's low. Do you have a mic volume on there?
What about now?
It's the same. Sounds the same to you, Asmir?
Yeah, it's kind of like microphone's not picking it up.
I can hear you. I can hear you handling it. I can hear you handling the
Well,
mic.
at least
Oh, there
this
you go.
thing's turned on.
Yeah, I think you just
There.
got a loose. Yeah, that's better.
That's better?
Yeah, maybe
Oh,
it's got
now
a
it
loose
even comes
connection.
up on the meter.
Oh, sounds all right though.
Cool.
So you had a good weekend last weekend, John.
Yeah, it was passable.
Passable. It's all right. Not a great weekend. It was a good weekend.
Well, depending how you look at it, right?
Ah,
So
there you
if
go.
you're looking at it from the, forget about the winning, forget about the scores,
Yeah.
then that doesn't even apply, right?
Right. Right.
Um,
Did you have a good weekend then?
I made one of the biggest mental boo-boos in I don't know how many matches, so I'm a little disappointed.
What was that? What
But
did you do?
I shot a stage out of order. Like
Oh,
I got 7 out of 12. I dropped 5 points, so that took me from first to second place because he had
just
94,
like that. Yeah.
but I hit every single target.
Yeah.
I hit 95.
Did you just get confused?
Field
or-
of view. So there was
Okay.
three red targets and 2 yellow targets.
Yeah.
But so you shot a it's like a horseshoe, so it's yellow, red, yellow, and then you
Yeah.
went reverse around. But there was a red
Yeah.
one from the other stage. So I looked through my scope and I seen red, yellow. I said, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm on the right hand side. I'm good to go. But I was on the left hand side. That second red one I seen was from another stage. If I had
Okay.
panned over, I would have seen there's no yellow one there. But the field of
Okay.
view wasn't big enough to see both yellow ones at the
Right.
same time.
Right.
So I started on the wrong side, went out, didn't get anything. I mean, I hit, but I'm like, I'm hitting, guys. Why aren't you giving me points?
You made
and,
good hits on the wrong target.
Yeah, so that was very
That's not
disappointing.
really mental management though. That's just lack of awareness.
So I had the sequence perfect in my head, and I shot it in my head properly,
Yeah.
but I used color instead of the numbers to identify
Okay.
targets.
Yeah.
And if I would have used the numbers, that would not have happened.
Yeah. So it's more stage prep.
Yes.
Yeah.
With some of the stages, I had put the numbers down on my card,
Yeah.
but this time, I mean, it was so simple. There's no need, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But clearly,
mhm.
don't change the routine, man.
But
Good. Well,
otherwise, I had a cracker of a weekend.
nice.
I timed out on one stage. I didn't get all my shots off. I shot 101 shots, and I hit 95.
Okay.
So from like
That's
a hit
pretty good.
percentage standpoint, I was
That's pretty
killing it.
good. Yeah, you killed
So-
it. Well, yeah, you killed it.
Yeah, the first stage, last shot. I let time get in my head. I rushed it, so that was a bad. I sat down and had a little talk with myself, and we gotta do the countdown.
We're gonna do the countdown. Stand by. Do. Hey, welcome to episode 26 of the Rimfire Nation podcast. We are Canada's one-stop shopping experience for all things Rimfire. I'm your host, Rick Antonio. This week we sit down with Asmir from Tesro to talk about the Olympic and Paralympic shooting disciplines and how you can get started. The Rimfire Nation podcast is proudly brought to you by Asmir and Miriam. Thanks, Asmir. Past episodes are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitchers, and all the various podcast servers around the world, as well as the Canadian Rimfire Precision Series YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. Help us get the word out. So since Asmir's here, Asmir, we always do the just arrived section. Anything new and noteworthy you want us to call attention to? I know you've got a ton of center fires up now. I know you got the 457 Precision chassis up there, as well as the Ranger rifle is back. Anything else you've added?
There's actually a synthetic stock 308 with sights that came in.
Is it on the website?
It's on the website.
Oh,
right. And and it's at the killer price for somebody looking for a rifle that comes with iron sights that you basically can shoot out of the box.
Yeah.
This is a really nice, like the true CZ fashion, just a good package. You can and you know, it's affordable, it shoots well, and you can beat it up.
That's the perfect truck gun.
Yep.
First focal plane guys. They were talking about their top 5 truck guns a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, I was looking at that 20-inch barrel. It ticks all the boxes.
Yeah, and there's I mean, just like all the other stuff the CZ does, they have a lot of packagings for 557, and we've been trying to bring as many as we can get our hands on. But this one is a special edition. That I think they made a mistake not putting iron sights on this back on the Ranger rifle.
Yeah,
originally came, and then a lot of guys were complaining about that, and I had the customer calling in and being angry about it.
Yeah, it's not a real Ranger rifle without the iron sights.
Yeah, and but yeah, I think they hit the home run with this one. I think this one
is like that's a great deal. Like the only thing missing is detachable magazine, but if you're not a tactical kind of guy, if you only need 5, it's a 5-round capacity. So that's more than enough for, like, this is a perfect first time hunting rig, right?
Yeah. And it's going to last forever unless you use it as a baseball bat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you guys, you started bringing in Eamon Tech parts as well, right? Yeah,
they just came in to go on. If you go on to the pistol parts, we just got our first batch of it. And nice. We've been kind of sorting through it. These guys are basically making everything you can think of in terms of pimping out your pistol. So we brought in some CZ and Glock and SIG parts, and nice. we're going to be stocking more of it. But they have some, like, especially for the guys that are looking to kind of do a bit of tuning.
See, you're missing out on the 1911 parts, Asmir. Come on, man. As a Filipino, we have an affinity for the 1911, and if it's not 1911, it's not a pistol.
Fair enough. We had this conversation. It doesn't matter how big it is. It needs to be 1911. Then it's big enough. Yeah,
that's right. 1911 and 45 ACP.
Yeah. That's but then awesome. if you're a true 1911 guy, then you could argue that 1911 doesn't need spare parts. It just always works.
That's true. That's true. Mine has not. I've put several thousand rounds through that already. It's my competition rig. Still, I don't think I've replaced it. I've played around with a recoil spring, but that's normal. Everything else is pretty much stock. So, anyway, thanks, Asmir. Awesome. I love how you keep bringing new stuff. That CRKT line was killer for me. So I'm a huge fan of CRKT. So thanks for bringing that in. Yeah, I'm loving my dually, which is a bottle opener and a little small pocket knife. So, awesome. So, we've been getting updates from the Paralympic Games going in with Doug Blessin shooting in, I think he's SH1. There's 2 disciplines, SH1 and SH2.
SH2, yeah.
Which is, you can support it or it needs a rest support. And then you've got the various air rifle and small bore
Correct.
So what's your background, Asmir? You're an ISSF shooter, right? That's where you started from?
That's right. Yeah. So I started shooting something called, okay, depends how far back we go. As a kid, I was shooting air rifle, and I was shooting competitively air rifle. I come from the air where shooting was okay as a club or activity in high school. So we had a high school club, and I was part of the high school team, and we went to the range, and we were training there and competing. So air rifle was what I started on, and I was too young for 22. I think you needed to be a little bit older to do 22. And then, as some of you know, I'm from Bosnia originally, so the Civil War started, and that kind of was a different kind of shooting back home. So that kind of fell. That was forgotten. It was more of a matter of survival and finding a place to live. So so I settled in Canada, and then after I moved to Ottawa, I was looking for a thing to do. Just out of university, have a new job, and you got, when you're a single guy, you got all sorts of time on your hands, so you're looking for activities to fill in that. So I was looking for archery club, and I went to, there's a sports center here called RA Center. Went in to join an archery club, and there's a gun club as well. So I joined gun club as well. So why not? I really wanted to do archery, but archery club didn't have equipment. You had to buy your own. So I thought it'd be cheaper to do shooting club because they had rifles. I don't know if it was cheaper at the end, but so I started shooting. Yeah, so I started shooting something called, there's a discipline called sporting rifle, and it's kind of it's kind of like an ISSF simplified. It's a bullseye. You can use very similar equipment, but there's a limitations on a rifle. Think of it like a production versus open class. Right. And then in the ISSF, there's a different discipline. They call it free rifle often, which means you're more open to what you can use. With the sporting rifle, the rifle has to be 4 kilos. You have to have a half a kilo trigger. You can only use iron sights. You can't have a cheek piece adjustments, so it has to be fixed cheek piece. Right. There's a limited curvature on a butt plate, like very, very kind of simple rifle. So that, and you can't use sling. So that's kind of what I started with. That's what most of the kind of clubs would start with. And
that's like your basic rifle setup.
Basic rifle setup, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can shoot it either prone, that's just one discipline, or three position, which is kneeling, standing, and prone. Okay. So that and an air rifle, of course. So air rifle is kind of my big passion.
That's where you started.
That's where I started, and I continued, and I became competitive with the air rifle. Was lucky to meet a coach here that I work with, and they helped me out quite a bit, and actually made a huge difference in for me. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be in the sport. Right. And I made it all the way to the national team and competed internationally. And I think I told you guys a story how I met my wife. So air rifle was kind of one of my main disciplines, and which is one of the Olympic disciplines as well.
Now what's the distance shot? Is that 10 meter or?
So air rifle is shot at 10 meters. Okay. And it's shot standing, so standing only. And of course, the standing, there's you can't. I guess you could use a sling, but there's no sling for it, or any. So it's offhand, and you can
with a shooting jacket though, right? You've got the shooting jacket.
Yeah, shooting jacket, and you can use gloves, and usually use a coat like a shooting jacket and shooling pants, which are made of heavy canvas, just to kind of help you stabilize you a little bit. Right. And also give you a more kinesthetic feel of the position, right. Because and the tertiary reason is to prevent the pulse transferring to the rifle, because rifle right. is solid, right? So any vibration would 100% transfer to right. it, but it would dampen, kind of act a little bit as a buffer between right. your body, which is always moving, because unless you're dead, you always have a pulse. so it would prevent that pulse transferring to the rifle.
And how heavy is that rifle?
So it can be up to 5 kilos, 5.5 kilos. That's the maximum. And depending on your physique, usually it's between 4.5 and 5 kilos. But for somebody that's more of a smaller build, they might use a little bit lighter rifle. But generally, you want to have it heavy because it's more stable.
Right.
Yeah.
And is it fairly? Are they balanced in any particular way, or they're just?
So yes, so they are. So yeah, so you balance it depending on a shooter's preference. Some shooters like to have it back balanced, which means like where kind of around where it sits on the shoulder. Yeah. So you have a lot of weight there. So you kind of anchoring it. Some shooters like to have it at the on the barrel side. So they would have basically almost all the air rifles have a barrel sleeve. That's what stabilizes the barrel. It takes away the vibration and increases the precision. But they would have a tube at the end, which you can attach weights to. So that would also. So that would kind of have the effect of taking away the sway, right? It would be also kind of front anchor because it would just act as an inertia thing. But in terms of the balance, you want to have it balanced kind of around a little bit forward of the support. Okay. In general terms, like where your hand is. Right. And again, depending on the shooter. Like you kind of tune the weight distribution depending on your position and your constitution.
And ergonomically, it's the same as a small bore rifle, right? Or are there differences?
So there are some differences. The mechanism is different. The small bore rifle has a lot of weight is in the barrel. Okay. So precision small bore rifles will have some guys refer to as a varmint type barrel. So it's like a heavy barrel, and generally competition rifles would have a traditionally fairly long barrel. So it'd be very front heavy. And that's always the problem, especially for people with a smaller constitution, where you have all of the front weight and it's kind of hard to offset it. A rifle is a little bit different because the barrel is relatively short. So you actually have a little bit better better balance relative to your body compared to the small bore rifle. So weight's a little bit more further back. Right. And then because of the weight limitations, it can only go up to 5.5 kilos. So 12 pounds, give or take. Right. And whereas with the small bore rifle, it can go up to 8 kilos in weight.
Okay. Huh.
Yeah.
So that's not too far off from John's rig. John, what's your weight now for your setup? Are you around the 10 kilo mark yet? I can't hear you, John. Are you on mute? You're on mute. Did you know you're on mute?
Yeah.
There you are.
20 pounds. So that'd be 22 pounds.
Okay.
So basically 10 kilo.
10 kilos, yeah.
So, I mean, I didn't realize that the small bore guys were running 8 kilos, up to 8 kilos. So that's pretty heavy.
Yeah. So, and it really depends on the person, right? I mean, if you're somebody that's 5 feet tall, 120, 130 pounds, 8 kilo rifle might be a little bit harder to balance because you have to remember, especially if you're shooting 3 position, you got to execute 150 shots. And that can be very taxing on the body, not just for the match, but taxing on the training. So generally they would run a little bit more compact setup. Right. And then it also depends on your levers. That if you're a tall person, your levers are longer, so you would have a different setup.
So in terms of the format, the match formats, or I don't know what you call them, the events. Is it a standard 5-shot round or 10-shot rounds? How does that work scoring wise?
So scoring wise, you shoot. It's changed in last 2 decades a little bit, but essentially you have a prep time that's given to you and your sighters, and then you have a match time, and you're given kind of block time. So your preparation and sighting time is limited depending on discipline, but it's usually about 15 minutes. and you have unlimited sighters, so you can shoot.
That's a long time. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, but usually you can't even get to the line before then. Yeah, like we can bring your rifle and set up, and then you have a match, and match is 60 shots. So you have 60 scoring shots. That's air rifle target.
All sequential, like one go. That's a shot at 10 meters.
That's shot at 10 meters. Yeah. So you shoot your 60 shots on your own time. There is no command to shoot them. Right. You start and then you go and then you take as long as you need, as long as less than allowed time, which is 75 minutes now.
Wow.
And then when you finish, basically then you add up your score.
How many targets are you shooting at? Is that one?
At the higher level competition, you shoot electronic targets.
Okay.
So you essentially what you see in your sights is something like this, but really it's not something like this. It's just that's the aiming mark that you see, and there's a mechanism behind it that's scoring it. So you're always shooting on this, but then you have a screen and your score is coming up, and that kind of adds it up. And then on the bigger ranges, kind of on international ranges, they would have big screens and it's showing kind of everybody's score and such. So you kind of see what so spectators can basically follow what's happening. Yeah.
That'd be cool for PRS events, hey John? Have people watch your impacts or your misses.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
We're gonna have something demo. I'm trying to dream something up. It's not like it's gonna be quite different, but we'll have some sort of a test.
Something to play with.
Stage. Yeah,
that's awesome. That'd be great, Asmir.
Yeah, because I do have a couple of electronic targets that I use for my training, but so we'll have something set up.
So in that 10-meter air rifle, then 60 rounds within 75 minutes. Typically, people aren't taking the 75 minutes to do. What's an average round?
It depends. Like it depends, right? Because usually you wouldn't shoot it in one go. Very few shooters would do it in one go. So that you would do a set of sort of X amount of shots, and then you'll take a break because you are standing, and the 5 kilo rifle might not seem that heavy, but when you're repeatedly lifting it over and over again, it gets pretty taxing.
We know, Asmir, we know.
And which is why I had to stop, because my back couldn't take the volume of training that I needed to do. That's why I kind of fell out of the competition for air rifle. But you would usually take anywhere, I'd say about 30 to 45 seconds per shot, like entire shot process. So loading, mounting the rifle, feeling your position, aiming, releasing, follow through, like that process. And depends on the shooter, of course. Some shooters everybody has a different rhythm, and some shooters have very steady pace, very kind of methodic, like a flat rhythm. Some people would kind of go like they would go shoot 5 or 10 shots, and they would take a micro break, 5 or 10 shots, micro break, and they would take a big break. So it really depends on kind of on your what your personal rhythm is.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And it's a long match, right? I mean, it's a bit of an endurance game, right? So it does take, every shot kind of needs to be good, not just couple of them, and over the long time. Yeah.
And then so from because I watched some of the Olympic shooting. I was watching air pistol, which was pretty exciting. Because there's the qualification rounds, and then there's the finals. Like the top 8 will just basically shoot one shot each until the lowest person gets bumped off, right? Until you get to the top.
It's 2 shots actually.
It's 2 shots.
It's 2 shots. Yeah. So what they would do, they would shoot I forgot the exact format, but basically when it comes to the top 6, every 2 shots, kind of the lowest score drops, right? So
that's brutal.
yeah, so
That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of mental management that's got to happen.
Yeah, and they changed finals like 2 Olympics ago. It used to be a 60-shot match would carry into the finals, and then you would do another 10 shots in the final, and it would just add it to your score.
Okay.
So basically, some guys or girls that had a really, really good qualifications were kind of coming with a huge advantage into the finals, and it's just like yours to lose kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas with a new format, it's more kind of like sudden death type of thing. Like everybody starts, and then at one point, like the lowest score drops off.
Yeah, I think I like that. That's a lot more exciting, a lot more stressful.
Yeah.
So I get a qualification should be you qualified for the final round, and then you're thrown into the pit to survive as best you can based on the game you have right then and now against all the other people, which is cool.
Yeah, and shooting. So shooting is so for air rifle, there's 3 air rifle events. There's men's, there's women's, and there's mixed pairs.
Interesting.
So male and female, and they basically shoot during the qualification. They will each shoot a score, and their score adds up, and then top pairs advance to the finals, and then they would have a shoot off. So it would be 4, and then we kind of have like the semifinals and the finals.
Gotcha.
So that's a relatively new event that was just added for the since this is its first time it was in Olympics this year. That's it. Basically, what they've done recently is that there is no differences in men's and women's events. They are in terms of the air rifle. Women used to shoot 40 shots, so they changed that. Now women shoot 60 shots as well, which I think is great. There's no reason why I should have a different course of fire.
Yeah.
Women are better air rifle shooters, by the way. Naturally, teenage girls are awesome air rifle shooters. Like within 1 or 2 years, they get it, and they're really good. It's just like both mental package and physiology as well. But like women are very, very good air rifle shooters.
Yeah.
And then overall shooters, just I think if you watch Olympic shooting, it's not like men's game. It's the gender really doesn't matter, which I think is what's great about it.
Yeah, they had some great coverage this year using the GEM app, I think, or the GEM app that lets you basically watch all the events, which is amazing. So for the first time, I was able to watch all of the shooting events at any time. You could just go back and catch up, which is pretty cool. So technology.
Yeah, it was good that they enabled to stream it, because I usually was kind of fishing for European channels that would show it. Because a lot of European channels would just show it at their prime time, at least the finals. That's
pretty good.
Yeah. So, one tidbit of information, some kind of interesting trivia about shooting at the Olympics, if I may.
Sure.
Shooting is traditionally first medal awarded at the Olympics. Air pistol and air rifle, and it has been for the last couple of decades.
Is that right?
Shooting is the first medal that China ever got a medal in. So shooting is a huge sport in China.
Okay.
But China never had Olympic medal until they got one shooting. Same thing happened for India. India never had Olympic medal until 2008 Beijing Olympic Games, which opened with men's air rifle event. And the heavy favorite was a Chinese shooter that I he's amazing shooter. He showed up, spilled his pellets, and he won. And he won that World Cup. Like, I didn't know who he was, and then because the guy shows up late, I'm like, who is this doofus? So anyways, he came in as a heavy favorite to win air rifle in China, opening event. And same thing. His name is Zhu Qinan, and then Zhu Li, his teammate, was heavy favorite to win women's air rifle. Well, an Indian shooter, who I have a poster of right here. He actually won the air rifle, which is the first India Olympic medal ever in China Olympic Games. So it was kind of a big deal. It was a big deal for India. So all of a sudden now, shooting is a big sport in India. Like, you roll back a decade and a bit later, shooting is a major thing in India. And then women's air rifle was won by Czech lady, Katy Kukova. Now she's Katie Emmons. She married an American shooter. And they both work for CZ, by the way, as the spokespeople. Nice. So that was kind of interesting. Kind of that they were kind of stole the thunder from China Olympics.
Yeah.
And
that's cool.
Yeah.
What opportunities are there for people to get into air rifle competitions or shooting nowadays? Yeah. Is the RA Center still doing air rifle?
RA Center, I believe they're still doing air rifle. They basically need to look for the local clubs, air rifle or air pistol. Right. Air pistol is even easier to get in because by the rules you're not allowed to use anything else other than air pistols. So I mean, for somebody looking to get into a shooting discipline that's relatively on a budget, so to say, and it's easy to set up a range. It's easy to set up a 10-meter indoor range. That's all you need. So air pistol and air rifle are the easiest, and you can train year round. I mean, I think it's a perfect Canadian discipline because you can, we don't. A lot of people don't like being outdoor in the summer because it's too hot. I heard about the match 2 weeks ago, and then it's too cold in winter. But it's most importantly, it's easy to set it up because it's fairly easy to find the distance and all that. And but just look around for the club. Go to Shooting Federation of Canada and ask them if you can find a club. Ask them what's the closest club to where you live, and they can connect you with someone. Or you can ask me. If you're local here, of course, you can always contact me. Right. And then for small bore, same thing. Look for the club or maybe local shooters that can connect you with the small with the small bore. Of course, you can't shoot at home. So unless you have a property,
unless you're John Gingrich.
Yeah. And it's a little bit more involved because you need to have a little bit more of a setup to it and the distance. I can show you actually small bore target as well here, or if you want to talk about small bore, which Rimfire, the Rimfire Nation.
Yeah. Is that 50 meters? How far? How far is small bore shot?
So small bore is shot at 50 meters. So that's a 50-meter target. And I'm looking for a coin of some sort. There's not a coin, but there's a 9mm bullet next to it. So that's a 10 ring, the one in the middle. That's a 10 ring, and that's a 10.2 millimeters in diameter, which is just covered by a dime. And that's shot at 50 meters. Or actually, you can see there. I have some that you can see with the kind of what it looks like with the bullet holes. So
is that a 10-round group, Asmir?
No, that's a 3-shot. two 10s and a 9, one squeaker, and
that's not bad.
And so that's shot at 50 meters for a rifle. Prone, you can shoot with a sling and kneeling. And standing is shot offhand, similar to air rifle. Same thing, iron sights only. bit more weight allowance, single shot rifles, only single shot bolt action rifles, yeah, I mean, there's the rule book is kind of like the IPSC rule book. ISSF rule book has like 1,000 pages in it, because obviously over the course of the decades, people have come up with different ways to squeeze out the performance. But
gamers gonna game. That's what's gonna happen.
Yep. I mean, and so yeah, there's rules about how big elevation of your cheek piece, dimensions of the rifle, and all of those that all of those kind of things, the timings, and the pretty strict rules about the range once you get to international level, what the range setup has to be, and all of that, and the scoring equipment and various procedures. And
now those iron sights, are you allowed to put diopters in there, or is it just pure open iron sights? There's no glass allowed.
There's no glass allowed. It is, they refer to them as a diopter because you can adjust the size of the aperture.
Okay. And that focuses.
That's right, because that increases the field of depth, or depth of field. And your front sight, which is the where you usually have a circular insert of some sort, you can have it adjustable. And you can have different sizes, depending on the sight radius of your rifle, depending on what's the distance between, and then you adjust it so that when you see the circle, the big circle of course becomes a minute circle in your front sight, and you want that sight picture to be perfect. So you kind of have there's quite a few accessories that you can use to maximize kind of clarity of the sight picture. But
I gotta try that.
No,
I gotta try that.
Yeah.
Do you sell rifles like that, Asmir?
Yeah, we might just. I have my rifle next to me. If you want to see my rifle.
Yeah, is that the air rifle? Or
no, it's actually my 22. My 22. My air rifle is now taken apart, but you can't really. So that's my rifle.
Oh, man, that's sexy.
So it's set up for prone. And I mean, in principle, it's a bolt action single shot rifle. So it's a guys would see it as like, oh, what is that? So the rifle itself is it's a regular 22 in a sense of the mechanism. It's a bolt action, of course, very accurate. The most of the things are there to allow you to ergonomically set up position as much as possible, because you gotta shoot those 60 shots, and because you're using iron sights are very, very sensitive to the position. Right, the parallax is a killer with iron sights, because you might still see a perfect sight picture, but if your head is even slightly off on the cheek piece, it's now going to be landing in the same spot.
Yeah.
Right. So that's why the rifles look very intricate, but that is to allow them to be adjusted to your own position. Right. So generally rifles are not custom, but you customize them to yourself. So like I put. This is generally what somebody would use for standing, but yours truly has short arms, so I need a little bit of lift. This is where my hand stop is, so that I can have actually bring it closer to my head. And then on mine the barrel is fluted, so because I used to shoot 3 positions, so the barrel is fluted to kind of take away some weight. But now I just shoot prone, so I don't really mind having extra weight. So my new rifle, it's just going to be a solid cylindrical.
We should set up a demo day. Just get that as a demo. I think folks would love to try that out and just get a feel for what Olympic style shooting is, either offhand, prone, or
and like in terms of the systems that are being used. So the guys that are familiar with Bentrest 22, very, very similar systems, right? Okay. So when I say systems, like barreled action stock options type of thing, because you're looking for a similar level of precision. Similar Bentrest guys are all about precision. That's because the rifle is not moving. They're just looking at the wind and pulling the trigger. You still have to hold the rifle, but in terms of that would be kind of and a lot of things that Benchers guys put through their experimentation have eventually graduated to other disciplines, like tuners and such. They have been playing with tuners for decades because they'll take anything that they think they're going to give increased precision. So yeah, and then adjustments, on a adjustable butt plate and so like that's why he has all these screws so you can adjust kind of all
Everything.
these different everything. Yeah,
That's amazing.
And a cheek piece, and then that's really kind of where all the intricacy comes in. But in a nutshell, it's still a bolt action 22.
Right.
Heavy, heavy, relatively long barrels. You wouldn't use short barrels because it's easy. Sorry, I shouldn't say that. There has been a trend to use shorter barrels and a very long tube, so you can still get the side radius, but you shave the weight. But with the short barrels, they're a little bit more finicky finding good ammo. So long barrels in terms of the absolute precision are a little bit more forgiving when it comes to ammo testing and such.
Right.
So
now, and I forgot to ask in the air rifle, what velocities are those pellets coming out at? Are they under 500 feet per second?
So the sweet spot, actually, funnily enough, sweet spot is just around 500 in terms of the precision. There's two nodes. One is just under 500 and one is over 500. So we adjust ours to be under 500. So basically they're sold as not non-firearms. But for somebody that has a firearms license, they can adjust them. They can get them as over 500 feet per second. You can get a little bit more velocity out of it, but it's just kind of around that. And then air pistols are always under 500 feet per second because, not just that, they become restricted, and then you have to register it. And then if you're training at home, if you want to shoot at home, you're shooting a restricted firearm at home. That is a no.
Is that a problem here in Canada? I don't know the rules.
No. So air pistols, I believe there might be a couple of air pistols in Canada that are over 500, but as far as I know, we never sold one, or I never encountered any that are over 500.
And these are always
too much red tape. Yeah.
And these are 177 pellets, right?
Correct. Yeah. And those are the only ones allowed for the Olympics, because the air rifle does come with a 22 pellets as well.
Yeah. I got a whole bunch of them now.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a different world from the old Daisy BB guns.
Yeah.
The lever action and the
And I should say that cadets shoot air rifles. So cadet program shoots air rifle, and they have in their programming they shoot it prone and standing.
And they're using break action.
They're using break action daisies. I heard they might be upgrading their rifle fleet. To
Diana's or
I don't know what it's going to be. I think it might be still Daisy. Okay. And the Daisy that they have is a Franken Daisy, because that was specifically built for cadets, to kind of with some additional precision requirements and such, and so it's not a regular Daisy that you can just kind of buy, especially anymore. So, but they aged out. I think the cadets really got their money's worth out of their Daisy. Yeah.
And those are iron. They're always iron sights, right?
Yeah.
Always iron sights.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. That for 22 kind of prone events, there's open sights events, which are shot throughout Canada and US, and same targets. So same kind of this type of target, but you can shoot it with a scope. And then we just call it open sights, and but the rest of the rules are the same. So still shooting it prone with a sling type of thing, but you can use a scope. So a lot of guys use politically correct term with aging eyes, would like to shoot with iron sights. I might be in that category very soon.
Yeah.
So you can basically shoot throughout your lifetime, right? Because as you get older, the eyes become, it's just a bit more difficult to keep them focused for that long, and scopes kind of solve that issue.
Yes, they do. It's a great equalizer.
Yeah. So the rifle events at the Olympics are, so there's 3 air rifle events, and there's also a 22 event, which is 3 position 22.
Right.
So that's a 40 shots prone, 40 shots kneeling, and 40 shots standing. And I believe with the latest rules, I haven't shot 3P for a couple of years now. I believe with the latest rules, you have about 2.5 hours, something like that, or 2 hours and 45 minutes to get your 120 shots in. That's a block time, so you get your changeover between positions and all of that in. And then the top 8 make it to the finals, and then the finals they shoot again all 3 positions, and then finishing with standing and kind of doing the every 2 shots in the final.
Yeah,
in the final
it's pretty exciting. If you guys haven't had a chance to watch it, try and find some footage on YouTube or if you have the Gem app, go back and watch the finals. It's a pretty exciting way. That'd be like the perfect shoot off at our matches, John. If there's a tie, if we didn't have those tiebreakers,
no,
we'd have shoot offs like pucker factor. We had that a couple of times out west when we didn't have a tiebreaker stage. We'd have a standing target shoot off, and the first and second was decided by the first loser.
So all Ryan Stacy has to do is tie with top then.
Yeah, that's
it. What we're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. But to get there, you got to be a good shooter anyway. So
yeah,
true.
Yeah.
True.
So either one of you deserve that first place. But it's first got to choke basically, because by the time you're there, you're both equally gifted shooters with good mental management. So yeah. It'll be pretty exciting though. It'll be a pretty exciting way to run a match. But yeah.
I mean that's the kind of a different feel when you from the disciplines that you shoot shoulder to shoulder versus the stage, right?
Yeah.
So PRS and IPSC kind of matches that you shoot stage. So kind of you always watched, whereas shoulder to shoulder you kind of all shoot together at the same time, or you have relays. If there's if there's a bigger match and everybody shoots, you step off the line, maybe next relay. But so there's definitely a different feel to it, right?
For sure.
With like for example with IPSC, everybody's watching you. There's always one person at the range, so everybody can see what you're doing. With the PRS style matches, you're going from stage to stage, and your buddies are there not your buddies, but the guys that are in your group can see what you're doing. But you have no idea what the other guys are doing potentially because they're in a different stage. And then when you shoot shoulder to shoulder, you kind of sort of maybe can see what the other guys are doing. Unless you're going to crossfire, then they're definitely not shooting their target, they're shooting yours. That'd be
like at the last 3 stages of the match, all of the top 10 shooters get re-squatted into the same squad. That would be the equivalent. And then everyone's just counting. Every shot counts at that point.
Yeah.
If you miss, if you drop one, you're toast, right?
Yeah.
Everybody knows it. So, be interesting.
Great. So, basically where you're going with that is from a mental management standpoint, because you're shoulder to shoulder. Yeah. That pressure is higher.
In the finals, because it's elimination at that point.
Yeah.
Because as every time you shoot, you stand the potential of getting eliminated. If you have a shitty two shot performance, right? Because some guy's shooting 10-9s, you're screwed.
And the announcer constantly announces everybody's scores, and they tell how what's the score difference. So they would say, I don't know. They would say Rick ABC is in the lead, and Asmir CDF is behind by 0.8. and we have one more shot to go, kind of thing, and those type of things. And the announcer would just to kind of pump the crowd.
Just brutal, yeah.
Brutal. So I mean, yeah. So there's a like John said, like there's you need to come in very very well prepared, and you know, and you train for that, just like everything, right? I mean, you there's also advantage that it's always a fixed format, so you can reproduce that at home. You can play the final, play a YouTube video of the final, and you just, you know, pretend you're one of the shooters and shoot it and listen to somebody announce, or you can have your buddy announce the scores and things like that, and all the shooters that, you know, that they want to kind of compete to that level, they need to do that. So
yeah, what amazed me was the big range of ages of the competitors. You know, you had young and old, all shapes and sizes, all walks of life, basically, just getting up there and shooting, which is cool.
Especially for small bore. The guy that won in London 2012, I mean, I think he's now in his 70s, so he was already in his mid 50s or late 50s when he won that. Okay. The guy, I was just looking at the person that was third in air rifle. He was 38, I think. The air rifle is generally young person sport. Like the a lot of air rifle shooters are quite young. But air pistol, there's folks there in their like 40s and 50s. They're very competitive. Trap. Person that was third, the guy from Turkey, I think he was 58. So quite a range of ages for sure. Yeah.
Hey, you're not carrying any CZ shotguns yet, are you, Asmir?
No, that's
Is that something you're thinking about, or too small of a?
I'm thinking about it. They're a little bit hard to get, to be honest. I mean, like everything these days, everything's hard to get these days. Hello, primers. But yeah, that's kind of once the centerfire rifles is what we're focusing on, and then we're gonna start bringing in some shotguns maybe next year.
That'd be awesome.
After I get some help in the shop.
There you go. You're at that point now.
Yeah. So, what was I going to say? But and I know very little about shotguns. On grand scheme of things, I know very little. But I do like shooting shotgun. I do enjoy both trap and skeet. Maybe skeet a little bit more actually than trap. Yeah. Which are both Olympic events as well.
Yeah, that's something I hope to get into this year, but I just haven't found the time. I gotta make some life decisions, Asmir. I need more free time to enjoy, to get more disciplines.
You and me both, yeah.
The more I do something I love, the less I do something I love.
Yeah. Well, you
just gotta choose your things and then do them the best.
I guess. See, John's got the perfect balance. John's got the perfect life, you know?
As always, people think so.
I know, right? The grass is always greener, right, John? The grass is always greener.
But no, that's seriously what it came down for me. It's like, there's a lot of things I really enjoy, and I'm a very curious type of a person. I like to learn things. But, yeah, you just can't do everything. You can't do half of everything. So it came down as, what am I going to do? What do I enjoy the most? What hobby can I not see myself not doing? Or yeah.
What would you miss the most?
So here we are.
Here we are.
One hobby.
I know, right? Well, you think about how many people in Ontario have started this hobby, right? In the last 3 to 4 years. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Hundreds and hundreds of people we see. Never mind the hundreds and hundreds of people we don't see that are, you know, waiting till they get good enough to be able to play the game. Which I think is the biggest mistake. You know, just jump into it. Like you're not going to know how it works unless you get in there and see how it works.
Yeah. But that's a one. I think it's one beautiful thing about shooting is that you're really always competing with one individual.
Yeah.
Which is yourself.
You should be.
Yeah. And then it sounds like a cliche, and then after like 2 decades of very competitive shooting, first time somebody told me that, I was like, yeah. What about the other guys on the line? What are you talking about, old man? Like, go away. And then after a couple of decades of shooting, I'm like, yep, that cliche is as true as they say. Yeah. That and which makes it great. You can be, and which is not untrue for the other sports and the other hobbies, but you can be very, very good friends with your competitors and still be extremely competitive.
Yeah.
Some of my best friends, actually most of my best friends are people I competed with or compete with still today.
Yeah.
So
my most favorite competitors are my friends.
Yeah.
I think that's how I find my friends.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
These are the guys that shoot better than me.
Well, and you have something to talk about. You can always talk about shooting amongst other things. I figure
I'm gonna learn to shoot better through osmosis. I'm just gonna hang around these guys, and eventually, it's just gonna flow from their pores into my pores, and I'm gonna get incrementally better every minute I spend with those guys. So that's my secret.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone. That's what I'm doing. I'm just absorbing everyone's precision shooting.
So I have a question for you. There was more than one person that, in passing, mentioned air rifle with precision, rimfire precision.
Yeah.
In connection, right?
Yeah.
And not solid connection, but some sort of. And I know in states that they started adding stages for it, and basically, I think there's some matches they allowed people to bring air rifles. Is that something you're thinking about? Is that something that there's interest for?
I've always thought about it. So why do it? So why do it? My goal, again, coming from the maple seed side of the house, my goal is to get more people into the shooting sports. And what's the path of least resistance? It's everyone can go and get an air rifle or an airsoft rifle or something, right? That you don't need a PAL for. And if we even just have an area where people can bring their air rifles and plink, right, to start with, just to see, hey, we have a match. If you have somebody with an air rifle, part of your family typically, if you're a registered shooter and you have someone that's got an air rifle, they want to plink, come on out and then show them how much fun it is. As for setting up an air rifle discipline, gets a little bit more problematic because of the wide range of equipment that's out there. Is it just wide open, say, it's under this velocity, we'll have to crony it, and you're using a certain, caliber and pellet weight. There's so much out there that you'd have to think about.
Yeah.
But, the Springers versus the PCPs versus the, whatever, who knows, or the CO2. But I'm not against it, just don't know the logistics of getting it started and working. Like, we have the infrastructure, we could easily do it. Or just say, hey, it's an air rifle steel demo day, right? That's probably the easiest way. Come on out and we'll do an ORPS shorter stage. We'll go out max 50 meters for air rifle, maybe. I don't know what the ranges are, but 50 meters would be max, I think, right?
So there is have you ever heard of a field target?
Yep.
Yeah. So like those guys, like if you talk to those guys at hardcore field target, they will tell you, oh, we've been doing PRS for decades. We invented it, right? Because they shoot air rifle, PCP, high velocity with big scopes and stuff, and I think they shoot from, like, usually out in the field, not in the range. So there's lots of noise coming. I don't know if that's me or here. I'm gonna put myself on mute and see if it.
Oh, maybe it's you out there.
It's Rick. No, went away.
It is Rick.
I think it's when he hits his mic, because it would really,
Because
we
my
hear him
mic
again.
is here. Huh.
Perfect.
There's feedback. Is it feedback through?
Yeah. Okay.
Because you're not using a headset, Asmir.
No.
So maybe it's coming through feedback from you.
Oh, okay.
From my side.
Okay.
So, yeah. So the field target guys shoot out to 50-meter max steel targets. So,
yeah,
I think that would be a cool thing to set up. Just a kind of like an outlaw, an air rifle outlaw, right?
Yeah.
It's probably the easiest way that we
Yeah,
use the same course of fire and just cut it down to 50 meters. And
Yeah,
if
it's
people are up for it, I'm always into, if we can just buy more gear, sure. I finally get that CZ PCP rifle.
Yeah, I mean, and it's more. Sorry, I was asking more out of because it just kind of within a couple of weeks, a couple of folks that completely disjointly kind of ask about the air rifle if I knew kind of the rules, and I'm like, I actually don't know, and they're like, well, I want to show up with my PCP rifle to the match, and I'm like, I don't. Ask the. I mean, especially for the Outlaw series. I mean, it's easier because I mean the match director can just make a decision on it, and they're usually smaller.
I think it'd be pretty easy to include them. I just don't know how much fun they'll have past 50 meters. I just don't know the ballistic performance after.
Well, the NRL would do that in their matches. Like there's the air rifle division.
Yeah,
which kind of surprised me. Like, if you start talking 200-yard targets, how effective they are.
Yeah.
But for the outlaw, I don't. From what they're doing in the NRL, I don't see that it would be any issue to shoot.
We'd have to poll the match directors to see what changes, if any, we need to make for the safety briefs, or I don't know if there's any specifics. We'd have to look at what the air rifle matches are doing from a safety perspective, whatever rules they follow.
Yeah.
Again, there could be some unique things to that sport that we'd have to adopt. But
that's a good
again, if they just want to, if there's enough interest, we could certainly add an air rifle division. Unlimited air rifle. Run what you bring, and doesn't matter the caliber or the mechanism. You're an air rifle and you shoot the same course of fire as that the small bore guys do.
Well, especially if they bring 22 air rifle, because they would come with the heavier pellets.
Yeah,
and I think that they are the only ones really that will be competitive at the 50 meters. Because if you shoot like if you take my air rifle, it wouldn't do well at 50 meters. No. It's a dome shot type of shaped pellet. Which flat head that doesn't do well past 10 meters. It's tuned for 10 meters distance, so you need to use kind of pointed pellets, heavy pointed pellets, and 22 pellets obviously have a lot more mass.
You know what I'm willing to do, Asmir? I'm willing to take that on as a research subject. I'm going to have to invest in a proper base PCP air rifle and play around with a bunch of steel targets to see how. If 50 is the max and 50 is the max, maybe we'll set up some outlaw matches that are more air gun friendly. I don't know.
There's some semi-auto air rifles that are so much fun to shoot. It's just like pure paper punching equipment, nice. Or steel ringing equipment. There's basically no recoil. It's just they're just fun.
Okay.
Pure fun. So
right, I'll have to stop by and collect some gear.
Yeah. Just this was like out of curiosity. So I've been pointing the guys to basically talk to the match directors and see.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not against it. It's more just I just need to know if there's any specific safety issues. I mean, for them, they'd have to decide whether it's worth coming out where the course of fire. There's 5 stages only. Probably 3 out of those 5 are going to be past 50 meters. Some will be 25 to 50, maybe. Maybe it's one that's a 25 that's a KYL. So
yeah,
I think it's a little bit more challenging. But for us to set up an air rifle, someone would have to want to host that match, right?
Yeah.
Or be willing to set up a secondary set of targets for air rifle,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not against it. And my goal is to get more people involved in the shooting sport. So if there's enough interest, we could add a couple of extra air gun friendlier stages.
Well, so just going back to cadet program, there's 30,000 cadets in Canada.
Is that right? Is that many? I didn't realize it was that many.
30,000, and they all shoot.
Yeah.
They all shoot, and it's like so. It is by far at least by the numbers, the largest introductory way to shooting. I mean, it's military, right? I mean, you can make it as politically correct as you want, but soldiers need to shoot, right? So so you can't. It's always politically correct for soldiers to shoot, and hunters, right? Those are the only two that you cannot. It doesn't matter what you say. So it's okay for soldiers to carry a gun. So, anyways, but there hasn't really been a good bridge between cadet program and adult kind of or young adult areas. And if they jump in Olympic stream, it's fairly cost prohibitive for some families. And a lot of top shooters in Canada and some of the Olympians that I know, they came through cadet program. One of our shooters, Audrey Ann Derry, she's currently top air rifle shooter in Canada. She came through cadet program. In Quebec, my good friend that went to London Olympics in air rifle, he came through the cadet program, and so it's a very, very important for shooting sports in general, but there isn't really that continuation. So that's kind of my little bit of my motivation, because my kids are going to go to cadets eventually, hopefully. But it's important for us to grab those young shooters when they graduate, when they age out from cadets, and introduce them to shooting sports so they stay in shooting sports.
Interesting.
All right. And not just come back when they're in their 30s and established, and then they're like, I used to shoot as a cadet. Is there a club locally here? But, who knows what can happen that with the current cadets that are now teenagers, when they're in their 30s, in 20 years, it's too late. Like so I think it's kind of from I know I sound like an old man, but I am a parent. I think it's important to keep the shooting sports healthy for not just for us, but for the new generations coming in.
For sure.
Right. I'm always going to like shooting. I mean, this is like that's my thing. Like John said, that's, you pick one hobby. That's me. I was able to, I may run a business that's connected to it, but of course, but
you went all in, Asmir.
I went all in, but I want to make sure that when my children grow up, and if they decide to be in the shooting sports, that there is healthy shooting sports environment in Canada, that we still have clubs and competitions and all of that for them.
Sounds good.
Right.
That's the goal. Goal.
So sorry, I know you want to talk about Olympic shooting, but I think it's important.
No, but that's all. It's all part of it. I mean,
right?
it's we're all. How do you get there? How you get there is by cadets, or through a local club, or through people who come out to a PRS match and say, hey, what else can I do? Well, this is not everyone likes the PRS style of shooting. It's too gimmicky, too gamey, some people will say, and that's okay.
Too loose-ended. There's not enough rules, and for some of us, that's what we enjoy.
It's a reason to get out and.
Well, it's kind of like saying, what do they call it? The what's the golf that they do with the disc? I didn't even know it existed. Apparently, it's a huge following, right?
Frisbee golf.
Frisbee golf. And you talk to regular golfers and say, "Oh, that's a joke," right? The guys that play frisbee golf, they love it. That's their thing, right? It doesn't really matter. They're out there doing it. So I mean, everybody's got their own thing. And with the shooting sports, there's different disciplines, there's different kind of styles and different competition rules, but at the end of the day, we're all shooters.
Yeah, that's it. That's the goal. So I did look at the shooting. If you go to the Shooting Federation of Canada, they have a page where to shoot. So those are all the clubs that are affiliated with Shooting Federation of Canada. They can help you get sorted out if you want to join their program, figure out how to find that path to the Olympics. I'm sure those guys will be able to get you pointed in the right direction. Again, from our perspective, just really curious, because it's an interesting sport. It's an interesting series of matches to watch. It's I think there's it's a lot of mental discipline at that level. Certainly in any top level, competitive shooting, competitive sport. Mental management is what separates the guy who sits higher at the podium than you do. It's at that point I think all the skill is pretty close, right? And it's just a matter of who brought the A game that day. So that's the difference. So yeah.
And then your provincial organizations too. I mean, like FQT for the Quebec and there's Ontario organization, and like that you can look them up, and Shooting Federation of Canada lists them, because the provincial organizations sometimes have a little bit better connection with their local club.
Yeah.
Right. And FQT is pretty active in Quebec. They're very supportive of the actually, Quebec in general is very supportive of the sports, all the sports, not just shooting, right? So they have a pretty good setup there. So yeah,
that's cool. That's awesome. Thanks, Asmir. Yeah, now you got me wanting to. Maybe it's a little late for me to show up at the Olympics, but it doesn't mean I can't try and get good enough to be an Olympian.
So we didn't talk about rifle, but there's also pistol shooting in the Olympics, pistol shooting disciplines. So there's men shoot rapid fire, and for women they shoot a sport pistol is the name of the discipline, but they have a precision and rapid fire stage.
So what's the difference? Is it the number of shots within a set time frame?
Yes. So for rapid fire, you have basically 8, 6, and 4 seconds for 5 shots, and it will be 5. It will be 5 targets, so it will be banks of 5 targets for each shooter, and then there would be either a light or some sort of indication, and the pistol has to be from 45 degrees down kind of position, and then you can raise it on the signal, and you have that amount of time to shoot your 5 targets.
8, 6, and 4 seconds.
Yeah, and that range is the noisy range. There's a lot of so that's a rapid fire.
That is rapid fire. Holy cow!
Yeah, and those guys are really good. Like, that's in terms of like they're accurate and they're fast. So they can't draw, but generally when they go to IPSC matches, they don't miss targets. They just can't pull it out of the holster, because they're not used to that. So between men's and women's kind of pistol events, they're very similar, just a slightly different timing formats.
Yeah.
And an air pistol, like we said, it's similar to air rifle. It's 10 meters, but the target's a little bit bigger, because a pistol is much harder to shoot, significantly harder to shoot. So that's the kind of your rifle and pistol disciplines, and of course there's shotgun events, or clay target as they call it.
See, if we didn't have this restricted rule set, we'd have pistol PRS going.
Isn't that IPSC then?
I guess, but not. I'm not sure. What I guess Rimfire race guns is close.
Well,
I don't know.
There seems to be a lot of steel challenge matches happening.
Yeah, out west. They have a lot more out west.
Yeah, we had some here at the Eastern Ontario Handgun. I think they had a couple of matches there. Okay. Of course, with COVID, I mean, everything's been kind of delayed or canceled. But I know that they're increasing in popularity, especially with the optics on the pistols. They're kind of rigged for steel challenge type of matches, right?
I prefer steel to paper now. I used to like paper, but I'm more into immediate gratification. Just minute a bad guy is good enough for me. I don't need to score. I just need it's binary, hit or miss.
Yeah, well,
right now.
Well, I'm kind of with you. I'm used to I shoot an electronic target, so I'm kind of spoiled that way. I mean, shooting at paper targets, and you need to check the score and through the scope, and you kind of get spoiled once you shoot type of either reactive or the target that reads your score automatically. So it's certainly easier to just focus on shooting rather than trying to figure out what your score is. as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And there's trap and skeet in the Olympics too, or just trap?
Trap and skeet. So skeet is the bird flies across, and trap is the bird flies away from you at the semi-random direction. So those are kind of two major kind of clay target events, and there's men's and women's events as well. So some folks might know like American trap or sporting clays that are shot in quite a few clubs, and I think that the big difference is the speed of the bird, or the speed of the clay disc that they shoot, that it comes across, and the kind of format, the number of them, the timing. So yeah, those guys have expensive guns. Like,
I think we lost Asmir. Are you there still, Joe?
I can hear him. I can hear him.
Yeah.
It's you that we're losing, Rick.
Oh, he's
frozen in time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's out.
I think his connection dropped.
I wonder, he'll probably drop us then when,
yeah.
I don't know how that works, I guess. When he goes, he wiggled, he wiggled.
There you go.
It's live.
Sorry, guys. That was me.
Okay.
That was my Wi-Fi. We lost it. Yes, Jesse, I locked up. I'm back now. I'm out of Wi-Fi jail. Yeah, sorry. We were trapping and skeeting.
Yeah, that's right.
That's something I don't think I did this year. Maybe last year. Sorry, Asmir.
When we talk about the pricey equipment, the shotguns that those guys use are quite expensive.
See, I never understood that though, because it's like a gigantic bore, right? It's the bore is basically the size of a broom handle. Where's the money going? Is it in the stock? Is it not?
Well, so you can kind of say it one way. The Porsche Turbo is still just a 6-cylinder engine inside.
True.
And it's not as big as your Ford's 8-cylinder engine. So why is it so much more expensive?
Yeah.
Right. So there is just the levels of refinement. The big thing about shotgun is that so trigger is very important. Okay. And the ones that are multi-barreled, so double-barreled, that being able to shoot rapidly and repeatedly, one then the other, and having the same accuracy out of both barrels is so that comes into play. Yes, it is a smooth bore, and then the last, but not the least, is the fit. So all of them are pretty much custom made, because there's no sights. They do have, it kind of looks like a sight, but the top competitors are not looking at the sights.
Right.
It has to fit perfectly. It's an extension of your body.
Right.
And they do use high-end materials, but I don't know. I would still take off like a half the price or a zero in my mind, thinking of how much are like the expensive centerfire or small bore rifles. But they're quite pricey. I mean, cost of a car.
So if you thought precision rimfire was expensive, competitive shotguns are twice or three times that, I guess.
Yeah, just go out and buy that voodoo you wanted. It's not so bad.
Yeah, I guess this is for the guys that want to justify to their significant other, and it's like, it's so expensive. It's like, well, the cheapest Parazzi is like 25 grand. So it's that could be a shotgun shooter. Yeah. So that's one way to kind of look at it. But I mean, it's also you kind of buy it and you have it for the rest of your life. Yeah. And then they kind of keep their value, right? True. They don't they don't really wear out. And yeah, so that's the type of thing. I mean, it's 22 is, I would argue 22 is similar. I know very few guys that shot out the barrel when they're 22.
No.
We're talking a lot of shooting to shoot out a barrel when they're 22. So unless you're abusing it, it's going to last your lifetime.
I think so.
It's more like the enjoyment of something new. The reason why guys
it's the pursuit. It's the pursuit of perfection, right, John?
Sure, we'll go with that.
It's like you ask, how many rifles have you owned in the last? How many Rimfire rifles have you owned in the last 2 years? That's what you ask a guy.
All of them.
All of them. That's the right answer. That's the right answer.
Well, I mean, you can think of it this way, right? I mean, you can say, "Oh, it's ridiculous," but there is. Think of the high-end things that exist that you could get into, right? I'll go back to Porsches, right?
Yeah.
You have to be in a special category of the wealth to own all the Porsches, and
yes,
right. But if you want to own all the rifles, it's attainable for an average person to own all the top end small bore rifles, right?
Yeah.
And then when you sell them, they kind of retain their values. And I'm not talking like as a salesperson, but really like that. You guys know, rifles kind of keep their values. So it's not like you buy it and then 30% is gone off the price type of thing, right? So few things in life where you can change it without taking a huge loss on it.
Correct. Yep. Sure. I've sold used rifles for more than what I paid when I bought them for.
Yep.
There's a market out there. Plus, all of John's rifles are worth 25% more because he's held them. Right, it's that provenance. It's a Gingrich rifle, from 2019 or 2020. It's a 2020 Gingrich rifle. It's worth more.
They're well, and some guys that are good with their equipment, people like to buy firearms from them because they know they're well taken care of. They are shot in, and they know they're reliable.
Yeah,
right?
and they're particular about the setup, right?
Yeah. And then you kind of know, it's like, I know he's tried it, and they're honest, that they're going to tell you like, okay, well, you might need to change a spring or blah, 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 this or that. And so there's a lot of guys, I have customers that only buy used rifles from certain people. That's how they get all of their rifles. And that's just,
yeah, for sure. That's the way to go. Awesome.
So before I forget.
Yes. Oh, the hat. All right. We will choose. All right. The hat is going to Mark Giles. Mark Giles, congratulations. You're the lucky winner of the Lapua. It's a Lapua hat, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, Mark. I will bring it with me, and I will give it to you when we have that Maple Seed at Vic Fishing game in October. Or the CRPS match in October. So, all right, Mark, congratulations. Mark is one of our newer match directors on Vancouver Island for Outlaw. And Mark, if you wanna let air rifle people shoot your ORPS match, there's no charge for them. For your matches. PM me and I'll send you the link on how to get them registered, and we'll set them up. So if you want to get your cadets out shooting those ORPS matches, that is a great idea. So PM me and we'll chat.
Yeah, otherwise I was tempted to wear it because it's right next to my desk.
Yes, really, Mark, you're the winner. Hey, Dave, no updates yet on the finale. We're still. I've got to get all the match directors together to find the final, and I know that one of the match directors has to convince his wife that it's a great idea. So we're working on it. We're trying to sweeten the pot. I heard promises of a vacation for his wife that same weekend, so I don't think a decision's been made yet, but we're working on it. The campaign has started, so we'll keep you posted. Yeah. Hopefully mark both Maple Seed and CRPS at Vic Fishing Game. I just got to make sure the schedule works out. I'll reach out to you. My dates are finalizing, so I just moved another event so that I can have more dates in BC in October. So I'll reach out to you offline there. So fingers crossed we can get a couple of events going on the island. So thanks, Dave. Odell's a good sponsor of ours. Good guys there.
Very good guys.
So.
Yep. Met him a couple of times.
Yeah. Nice setup. All right. Anything else, guys? Anything else we got to cover? Olympics. Start them young. Feed the flames. Keep them. Lead pellets are the cheapest things to give to kids, right?
Yep.
Like I loved, just actually I had to buy my own pellets. I'm gonna talk to my dad.
Yeah,
about
I did
that.
too.
I said, "What's wrong with that, Dad? How come I had to buy my own pellets?" He
Well,
bought me the air rifle, so I will give him that. I did get the air rifle from my dad.
You didn't even do that.
But I had to get my own
My
pellets.
dad gave me a tin of pellets. The problem is I shot it out too quickly, and then it was like, well, that's
it. That's all
more
you
than
got.
it, and then you gotta basically take it out of your allowance, whatever. So yeah, I would go to like a fishing and hunting store and get pellets. I remember where that was.
Well, see, I don't know how many kids now. Like if we go by decade, how many kids under 16 had air rifles? I bet you see a dramatic difference in the number of people. Because I don't think kids are bold enough to ask. No, it depends on where you're from. Like I don't think city kids are asking their parents for air rifles.
Well, it's funny that I think you're absolutely right. I was thinking about the other day. I drove by and there was a raccoon that was hit, freshly hit by the road, and I was like, if you are out of Ottawa, like in a rural area, somebody would come out with a rifle and just shoot it, right? That's a humane thing to do. If you did it in Ottawa, you'd go to jail. Like the SWAT team will show up and you go to jail because it's no discharge zone. And I think that kind of summarizes the attitude as well. If you're kind of unfortunately, if you're in a city, it's frowned upon and the rules are different and the mentality is slightly different.
I grew up in the suburbs of Montreal in the western part of it. And we all had air rifles. We had fields in the back of our houses. So this was the suburbs.
Yeah.
Now there's you can't do that anymore. You get the police called on you.
Yeah.
So.
And squirrels are laughing at me every day. They come in and they're stealing my tomatoes, but I can't do anything.
No. That's it.
But I mean, this is why I think a program like Cadets is important because. There's a lot of youth that are introduced to shooting in a structured kind of safe way that would be very difficult otherwise in different areas, both urban and rural. So like we really need to support those programs.
Get them started. Get them started. Keep them fed. That's the thing.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can add a few more. We'll see. We'll keep plugging away at it. We'll find a way. Carl's missing Kevin and Matt. He wants to know if they're on a Centerfire podcast now. I think so. Kevin was talking about fast for caliber 223s, and then Matt bought a multi-caliber setup. Can't remember what it was. So he's probably reloading right now. He's all about ES and SDs now, and BCs and ogives and. See all these things we don't have to worry about.
The game just adds more dimension to it.
All we need to know is Asmir's phone number and see what inventory he's got for bullets for ammo. Red box, orange box, green box, black box, red box,
and with long range like beige box. I don't know what is that color. Cream.
Cream.
Cream. Yeah. Nice hat, by the way. I did notice it.
Thank you. It's one of my favorite hats. It's my Western road trip hat until I get to Saskatoon. Then I get my Extreme Range Outfitters. All of mine are super ratty now. I can't. My wife does not let me wear them anymore in public. That's how favorite they are. So I keep a few that I only wear. This is my dressing up hat.
Nice.
You mean I have one of those?
I got one of those fancy hats.
Yeah. I went through similar experience recently. My Miriam made me throw out a hat that I loved, but unfortunately, it's the base hat is white, and in this summer you can imagine that it wasn't white.
Yeah.
By the time he got to the garbage can. So, but she didn't let me keep it.
Yeah.
So I can feel your pain.
I keep a bunch on rotation, but after a while they just, I can't wear them in decent public anymore. But they're still my favorite hats. Awesome. All right. Anything else, guys?
Oh,
That's
I
all
don't think
had.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got me going there, Asmir. I'm thinking 10-meter air rifle is a good start. I think that'd be a pure discipline, but not the high end aluminum chassis that you're running. Kind of just like a regular hunting carbine.
I'm experimenting. I do have a CZ, so CZ 200S, which is about 800 feet per second. So it's definitely a firearm, but it has enough velocity to take it outside. And I just have them right next to me. There's repeater conversion kits for them.
Okay.
But I just haven't had time to test them out. And I think they could be interesting because then you could shoot PRS style setup with them rather than having to single load them every time.
Yeah.
And that's a little bit finicky to kind of load them.
Single feed. Yeah.
Yeah, to single
The time
feed,
factor,
especially time factor, and you don't want to jam it because you can mess it up so if those work, primarily I got them because some of the biathlon clubs want to use air rifles for their training because they don't always have access to the range. But if it works for biathlon, it's going to work for PRS type of setup. So next time you come over, we can test them out.
All right, sounds good, Asmir.
Maybe if Thomas is, I don't know if Thomas is on, but I need to hook up with Thomas and we can maybe take it to the range and try it out.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah.
I have wondered about that for guys who don't have land to shoot to do it with an air rifle practice. Sure, the exact mechanics wouldn't be the same, but your shot process is the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it would that hand-eye connection.
Yep, it's up that sight picture. Because I for a while I was training with an air rifle in my basement, but it was a single shot break action. That just isn't working. So
yeah, you do need PCP. Yeah.
PCP repeater is the way to go for me, or even a CO2. Even if it gets expensive, at least the CO2 repeater is it's just a fraction cheaper in the beginning, but it'd be more expensive in the long run versus a PCP. Initial investment's low for a CO2 powered air rifle.
And also with the CO2, there's accuracy limitations.
Yeah.
Because it needs to change the aggregate state, right? It needs to go from liquid to solid, and it's especially if you rapidly shoot it, it cools the seals, and then it kind of loses the accuracy because of the amount of gas coming into the chamber. So like you said, CO2 is a great way to get into it, but if you kind of want to get serious, PCP is much better long-term kind of setup. Yeah.
Hey, Jesse Burns had a comment as a new NRL 22 shooter, and says, I'd love to have a group talk over how to keep improving your skills as a shooter. That's the hard part. I think in the States you've got the Appleseed program. If you haven't taken an Appleseed, Jesse, that's a great way to understand the fundamentals and how to start building skills there. We have a program that we patterned off with the help of Appleseed. Our Maple Seed program is based around the same positional shooting fundamentals. That's really the secret to it. And then after that, it's getting good coaching or working with other shooters that are, I guess, more advanced and experienced to help you understand kind of how to shoot better and what practice targets or what practice positions to shoot. If you don't have a structured practice program, all you're doing is turning money into noise. So and there's nothing wrong with that. It's fun, but I think you won't progress as fast. And if you're asking that question, clearly you're interested in progressing quickly, or quicker. So that's the first thing I'd say is take the money you would have spent on a couple of boxes of ammo and spend it on good instruction like an Appleseed program. I'm not sure where you are, but they're all over. They have, I think, 1,000 events every year in the States. So there'll be one in and around your area for sure, unless you're in one of the more restrictive states. So that's it.
And the other ones are look for CMP, Civilian Marksmanship Program.
Oh yeah. Michigan, so Jesse's in Michigan. So I got my rifleman patch in Battle Creek, Michigan. So we used to drive down there before the Maple Seed program got started. We were going down to Battle Creek for our apple seeds. So yeah, Michigan has a soft spot in my heart for Michigan. All right, that's awesome. All right. Any shot? Thank you, Asmir, for joining us this evening and walking us through the myriad ways you can get into the shooting sports in the Olympics. I think the Shooting Federation of Canada is a great next step for guys interested in getting into the competitive disciplines. They'll be able to guide you into the different ranges that support that kind of shooting discipline. I'd love to get ISSF shooters shooting PRS and PRS shooters shooting ISSF style matches just to see how much of the skills translate and hear all the bitching and griping that happens from both sides as they try and wade their way through the disciplines. And I could just hear it, only 2 minutes for 12 rounds, and then the PRS guys are saying you have 120 minutes.
So there's a great anecdote of a good friend of mine who is who actually is Olympian and rifle shooter that she tried to shoot Skeet and she never pulled the trigger.
I just didn't get a sight picture.
Couldn't get a sight picture, and it was just like I couldn't get in the sight. So it's just shows you kind of what the difference in it. A good local friend of mine here would always make fun of me because he's an IPSC shooter, and it's like, I don't know what you guys do for so long.
Yeah.
And it's like I would fall asleep by the time you're done. It's like I don't know what's going on here, but it's just different. Yeah.
Yeah, and we'll try and reach out to Doug Blesson, who's at the Paralympics Games in Tokyo right now, shooting. So if he's got time free in the next couple of months when he gets back and decompresses and unwinds, we'll get a first-hand view of what it's like to be a Paralympian or a competitive shooter on the world stage there. See what it's all about and his experiences and how he got there. So awesome. Thanks, Asmir. Appreciate you joining us. Thank you for sponsoring this podcast. John, thank you for all your support. How's that March Genesis doing for you?
Oh, it works.
It works.
You're happy? Track's very consistent. It's 102%, like the click values.
Yeah.
So it's within spec.
That's pretty close.
It's good that way. Oh yeah.
Nice.
No, I've got no issues with that. And so I pulled my Minox off and put it on. I zeroed at 25 yards because it was windy and went straight to 500 and 519 first round impact.
Oh.
And then I went to 573 and I think I was 6 out of 10 is what I was getting there. So
not bad.
I was losing out with the wind a bit, but
yeah.
No, it's an option. It has a couple little quirks. because it's a different system, but it is totally repeatable once you understand how it works. And if you read the owner's manual, it explains it all. If you just do what they tell you, it's going to work. So, yeah.
Sounds good. Take care of that scope. I think Yannick wants to buy it off of March scope.
Yeah.
At the end of the year. So don't ruin Yannick's scope, okay?
Yeah. I think it'd be a really good option for. Well, I guess I don't know how it is with his center fire, but I'm suspicious he'd need to have more than one Charlie. But if you can just run one, that'd be okay.
Yeah.
But if you've got to run 2 or 3 different ones,
no.
Anyway, we'll see. I'm not done.
Well, keep us posted.
Pretty good.
Have you tried that long shot camera yet?
I set it up.
You haven't played with
That's
it?
as far as I got. I haven't used it.
That's all right.
Hopefully.
When you start pushing out to 700 yards, let us know.
Yeah. So the Deuce was supposed to be here today, but Canada Post. Maybe it'll be here tomorrow.
Oh, it's got to be this. So you rescheduled your whole work schedule just so you could be home for it, right?
No.
Yeah.
If it would have been here, though, no guarantees I'd be talking to you.
Yeah, that's true.
But so hopefully it shows up tomorrow.
Awesome.
But then I'd like to see on the long weekend how the weather is.
Yeah,
I get the long
Pascal got his.
Yeah, he does have his already.
Does he? Yeah, because he told me last year this time that, you should be a couple of weeks. So when I saw him earlier this year, I was like, going to be a couple of weeks. I'm like, you told me that last year. I'm like, but he did get it. Okay, good. He's been waiting.
I think I think his was the first Deuce in the Wild photo that I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think his was the first confirmed out in the wild.
I think when they opened the barn door, the one that kind of ran out, that's the first one. That's his. Yeah. So okay.
I should ask him what his serial number is, because his shipped right when they took mine over to IBI, and yours would have gone. So we probably all got. Maybe we got a bunch of consecutive serial numbers.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
But
I'd love to get a CRPS serial number, CRPS 1. How cool would that be?
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully get the long shot set up then. Because the electronic target thing does intrigue me from a testing standpoint.
Yeah.
Because then you can just start sending rounds downrange, none of this changing paper and
yeah. Yep.
It depends what data you could get out of the electronic target though. Like just extreme group size isn't gonna tell the story enough, but yeah. Awesome. We will see.
All right. Thanks again, Asmir. Thank you, everybody, for joining us this evening. John, as always, a pleasure seeing you. See you all on the firing line. We got a couple of events coming up, September 4th and 5th this weekend, 2 CRPS matches. One is in Saskatoon on Saturday, and another one is in Morden, Manitoba, our very first one in Manitoba. So, and then the next one after that is Medicine Hat on the 19th. And then we've got the weekend after that is in Sherwood Park. And then we're working on consecutive ones every weekend after that for the next month and a half. So stay tuned for updates. And we'll be updating the website shortly once we get them all confirmed. So thanks again for all your support, everybody. Look forward to seeing you all on the firing line. Take it easy. Thanks, Asmir. Thanks, John.
Yeah. Thanks. Good seeing you.